Hello, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
Hello, Merry Christmas Eve to everyone. We are so excited to be here on this holiday. Hi, Lori, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, especially since we just discovered that we want to be somewhere one New Year's Eve together. I'm really excited about what's going to happen one year, that we're going to end up in another country.
We are. That's right.
We're going to plan it. So for those of our guests and viewers who are watching for the first time, we're the Gratitude Girls, and we're here today on Christmas Eve because no matter what, for the last 7 years, we are here. You know that expression, the show must go on? So aside from the guests who know us, someone who's tuning in for the first time, they might be wondering a few things. I like to do the geography so that we can start with where we're at. So I'm talking to you tonight from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and there is no snow on the ground for Christmas Eve. I think that's like a rarity over here, right? How about you, Lori? What's going on where you are?
Yeah, so I'm at home this week in Nashville, and it's cool out now, but it was 70 degrees earlier. I was warm in my Christmas sweater.
70 degree. When you told me it was 70 degrees earlier, it brought more tears to my eyes because it was one of those days I'm like, and she's in 70-degree weather. And so that's tears of joy. It started this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just been one of those wonderful days. Let's talk about why we're here as the Gratitude Girls. Like, what is this show about? Were we born Gratitude Girls? Did somebody crown us? Like, how did that turn out? What happened? Let's tell everyone. Do you want to start?
Sure. So Catherine and I are both in a company called Send Out Cards, and it's a direct sales company, and we are actually cross-lined to each other, if you know what that means. And so in that company, we have an international convention every year, and every year there's a theme. And so in 2013, the theme was gratitude. And every year there's also one person who is nominated by their peers, not by the company, and by all the distributors and customers in the company, and to get that award. And so in 2013, Catherine was given that award. And so our CEO talked all about her, gave her all the accolades, said how great she was. And I was in the back taking pictures and video and doing all the techie stuff that I always do. And then all of a sudden, our CEO said that it had never happened before. And as far as I can remember, it's never happened since, but that there was like a tie that year. And he started telling the accolades of the next person. And I kept thinking, who is that? Who is that? I've been in the company a long time. I know most of the people who would possibly get the award. And I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, maybe it's this person. Nope, he said this different. Nope, maybe it's this person. And then he said my name. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. So Catherine and I met each other in front of thousands of people on stage. And then it was just kind of like, like one of those things like people talk about, the love at first sight type things, it was kind of love is best friends and business partners at first sight. And so we just knew that nothing happens in the world, without a reason, and there's no coincidences. And so we knew that we were destined to do something with this. And literally within like 2 minutes of walking off the stage, Gratitude Girls was born.
Lori, I remember that moment, and I felt like I was a really young schoolgirl also, because when I met you, I felt really excited. I remember when I heard your name, first of all, I couldn't believe that it was me walking up there with my shaking, wobbly knees. I didn't know how I would get there. It was, for a nanosecond, I was speechless really, but it was in my I am statement that I would be doing that one day. And when I heard your name, I thought, I'm going to get to meet Lori Delk. And I had heard about you winning so many things in our company, or receiving so much recognition. And one of those things was for you sending the most gifts in the company. And I remember thinking to myself, what is that like? What kind of person are you that you would, like, what kind of good person are you that you would send all those gifts? What would that be like? And what would it be like to be a person who receives those gifts? I thought that was completely amazing. And when I saw you and we were there, I was as excited to meet you as I had forgotten about myself for that moment. And again, when we walked down the stage, we touched hands and we knew, and it was so special for me. And who would have thought at that moment that that would have brought us this deep friendship that we have, that we've done something every single month for 7 years. That in itself is amazing. And I'm so honored and pleased that we're able to do this together. I want to thank you for your commitment as a gratitude girl. And I want to make sure that you know that on this Christmas Eve that I consider you a gift to us and to our family.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. And we get to meet so many amazing people. If you just, a really fun part of what we're doing is meeting people from all over the world, and sometimes in our own backyard. We never know, so to speak, where our guest will come from. And our guest doesn't know that they're even going to be on our show sometimes. So we book months in advance, but yet you just never know where you're going to end up. And we have such an honor tonight to have, maybe I'll ask you, Lori, if you would introduce our guest for us, please.
Yes, absolutely. So we have my friend Lisa with us tonight, and Lisa and I have known each other for a while now, and we actually got to attend a business seminar together on the beach in Florida. And so if you saw our pictures a couple months ago when we were hailing the little hail/rainstorm on the beach, that was our fun time on the beach. But anyway, so Lisa, let me tell you a little bit about her. So she is often referred to as a communication expert. She's a transformation catalyst because of her ability to communicate in a way that creates shifts in people's mindsets and motivates and equips them to move forward and increase confidence and clarity. She has over 25 years of experience in personal development as well as communication. And that's also combined with her educational background, as well as many certifications in coaching and positive psychology and many other accolades as well listed in there. So Lisa, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much, Lori. What a joy to be here. And what a neat story. I remember Lori had told me a little bit about that as I recall now when I'm listening, but wow, talk about destiny.
Yes, really, it is. And Lisa, you have so many amazing facets to your life. I'm sure that when you have the persona that you have, and you have so many things that you've accomplished, you have what you've done as what walks in the room before you. But I'm wondering if tonight we can just talk a little bit about a day in the life of Lisa. Like, for example, I know today's a holiday for some people, and can we ask, what was your day like today?
Well, Christmas Eve, yes. So what happened today? Oh, I have to think back. Sometimes so much happens in a day, you have to think if it's the right day you're thinking about. So I got up, and my husband every morning, if he doesn't leave a lot earlier than I do in terms of getting up and out the door for work, he makes me a latte. We have a latte machine. So he made me a nice latte. And so I enjoyed that. And then we talked for a little bit, and he did go off to work today. And then I spent some time reading my Bible and praying and just reflecting. I had a few things I need to finish up with some work stuff, so I did that. And then I just started to make my list because I bought Christmas gifts, and I thought, okay, I want to make sure I've got everything, like everybody else probably on Christmas Eve. And then I decided I'm going to go out and just get a few more things at the store, and so I did that. And surprisingly, it wasn't that bad. There weren't lineups of people. I was pleasantly surprised. So I got back just afternoon, and then I went into my office to do something in my office, and I started to purge. So I got into this cleaning mode. Yeah. I thought, okay, as I think about the new year, and my office, I was just rearranging. So I rearranged my whole office today, actually. And then I purged and I just threw out a whole bag of papers. I don't know about you guys, but we collect a lot of things over time. And as business women, as busy women, sometimes we have papers, stacks of things, either courses we've taken or things that people have given us. And so I've just made it a rule that if I haven't looked at this for a long time, it's going out. And so that's what I did today. And then we just started to pull out all the food that we're going to eat tonight, because my daughter and her husband and my son are going to be here tonight. They are here tonight. And so we usually have appies on Christmas Eve. And so we just started to plan out what we're going to do. And that's my day so far.
Well, Lisa, let me ask you, dive into the office a little bit. So when you go and you restructure your physical space,
Yes.
What does that mean? Does that mean that you wanted it to have a different view, that you wanted to get furniture out, or what does that mean? You wanted to change the orientation for something? You bought something new?
Yeah, good question. So in my office, I do my videos, I do, live video, all that kind of stuff. And so sometimes the background is not as ideal as I want, or I've got, so about a year ago, because I love writing. I'm still very much a person who likes to, when I brainstorm, write it on paper or just get it out there. Computer's great, but I still like the visual and the tactile. And so I had a whiteboard. And so what my husband did for me, because I kept doing it, kept erasing it, taking pictures and kept erasing. So he painted one whole wall of my office as a whiteboard.
Oh, amazing.
So like he did whiteboard paint, and I just absolutely love it. So, which is great. However, now it creates, I can't have that as a background.
Yes, right.
So I've had to kind of rethink how I do some of the things in my office in terms of impromptu videos and things like that. So that's kind of what I was doing today.
But you actually can see everything that you're working on. So it's right in front of you.
Right in front of me.
Amazing. That's such a smart idea.
I love it. For me, it just helps to release the creativity at another level. I don't know if you're like that, like and I know obviously psychologically and scientifically they talk about when you actually write something out, it imprints it in your memory, but it also stimulates something in your brain. And so what I definitely find that to be true for me is if I'm stuck in some way, or I'm just trying to sort something out in terms of an organization or flow, I have to put it out so I can see it. And then it just begins to click for me.
And it's funny you said that, because I have these 3 doors in one of my rooms called the bridge room. And I wanted to do that on the back of those doors so I could actually write on it.
Yeah.
But just on the door. So it's not very big, but I was thinking, I wonder what that would be like. So I could just get that paint and put it on there.
Yes. Yeah.
Such a good idea. I'm so glad you said that, because I bet that will be my project for the rest of the week.
I see a Facebook Live coming on.
I have one every morning.
Oh, do you?
At 8 a.m. every morning, I do a Facebook Live. So yes,
Wow.
I started November 13th. But let me tell you, these are great ideas. When we share the things that we do, that's why I was asking you about your physical space, because it's a good time of year, like you said, to get rid of things that we're not using. And otherwise the office would be a big file drawer, right? Like we need to keep those things to a minimum so we can think. So let's talk about your process, because you do so many things with your clients and in your business. So is your office where it all happens? Is that your control center?
In terms of my creativity, my organization, yes. Also coaching. When I do group coaching, it all happens here. Private coaching. Sometimes I meet in person if I'm working on delivery skills with a client, for example, or I'm going to a place where they're actually doing a presentation and I'm going to be watching them. So that's an offsite, but normally everything happens here.
That's amazing. That's great. We're so lucky to be part of that with you. And I want to ask you one more question, just because in case Lori has a question. There was something that caught my eye. Accelerated process.
Uh-huh.
Can I know just a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So as Lori mentioned, I started out speaking about probably more than 25 years ago, but I will tell you this before I get into that, is that I'm actually the least likely person to be doing what I'm doing. And you know, for me, I always chuckle because I started out deathly afraid of public speaking. I was so afraid that even in a study group at university, we're in this small group, and I knew my turn was coming to speak, and I would just get so worked up. I would be blanking out and everything. I'd be so scared of just talking in a small group discussion. So you know, fortunately through a process of my own personal development and transformation, and then really being pushed out to speak with my career as a speech therapist, and then later on I was in a full-time occupational Christian ministry at university campuses. I was really, by one of my leaders, just basically pushed me out, believed in me more than I believed in myself, and so kind of forced me to get out there. And as I did, I began to come face to face with my own shortcomings. So long story short is, over a number of years, you know, I've been blessed to have had people in my life who've mentored me and coached me, and without exaggeration, some of the very best speakers in the world, and just coached me along and taught me some things. And as I picked up these tools and began to put into practice, I learned a very important thing, because probably like a lot of, and I'll say women, men too, but predominantly women kind of get into this mindset where we have this, we make these excuses. Well, you know, I'm not that extroverted. I'm not that talented. I'm not that educated. I'm not like you. I'm not that confident. So I can't do that. And I was caught in that for a while, until I came across this discovery that when it comes to public speaking, the things that make you an effective public speaker have very little to do with your talent. It has over 90% to do with your skills. And so for me, that gave me hope, because I'm like, wow, okay, a skill can be learned. And so as I began to apply myself and really go after this to become, because along the way, I realized I am called to speak. I am called to share a story. I'm called to use my voice. And so I knew that I had to get over whatever I was struggling with. And so all the years that I've had in learning and training and then coaching people, I decided to put together kind of a fast track process for people to take them from where they are. If they're just starting out, maybe they just need to get clear in their message, don't know where to begin, where they're at right now, to where they can speak with a confidence and a clarity, know how to put together a message, but also have a real clarity as to where their audience is going to be and the platform that they need to start becoming visible on in order to move forward in reaching their goal in whatever aspect of public speaking they want to do that. So it's a fast track, 6 steps from, you know, getting prepared to being on the platform.
Right. Very useful, because some people don't know where to start, right? So you're going to give them a way to do that. Well, that's fascinating. Lori, I'm sure you have a question, so before I monopolize all of Lisa's time.
That was a little bit of a long-winded answer, but
fine. It was a very complete answer.
All right. So yes. So also, I know, Lisa, you have 4 books out too that are bestsellers. Yes. So tell us a little bit about some of your books, and then also tell us, think about, as you're telling us that, something, you know, we are the gratitude girls, of course, right? So everyone has something, you know, that they're grateful and thankful for in their life. And granted, we always have everything. Everybody has, you know, lots of things. But like, is there one like specific kind of story that you wanted to maybe share with us, or share with a certain person that might watch the show? Or
yeah. So I have 4 books. I've also been a contributing author for other books, but my first book it's called Let the Real You Step Forward Now. And it's all about Part of it is my own personal journey, spiritual journey, in terms of coming to a place of wholeness and freedom. And interwoven in there is also my story about where I lost my husband, or my husband passed away. And so I became a single mom and a widow at a young age with 3 young kids. And so part of that in there, and how I walked through that process. So that's what that book is about. And then I've also got a book called Preparing to Speak, 8 Things You Need to Know Before you get on the platform. And then I have another one called Carried, which is actually I invited other authors to contribute chapters, and it's all about being carried through the most difficult times of your life. Carried, God being the one who carries us through, and how we can walk through those difficult times and thrive. And then the last one is, the most recent one is called Speak with Impact, and it's 52 speaking tips for women to increase their influence, their confidence, and their clarity as a speaker. So, the first thing that comes to my mind, Lori, is, and I know you can relate to this, but when we go through a difficult time in life, is that we sometimes feel like, depending on the magnitude of that difficulty, we lose our bearings. Things kind of shift. And sometimes we feel like we have nothing to stand on, or we're just trying to grasp because our whole world has changed, or, whatever it might be. It could be a loss of a job, could be loss of the relationship, could be a loss of a loved one, marriage, whatever it is. And for me, when my husband passed away, it was the most devastating thing in our life. But I have to say, with all honesty, that I am so thankful for the people who were in my life as a young university student, when I was a university student, who took the time to really share with me, to help me develop my faith, to help me develop a relationship with the Lord, to have an ability to trust Him in the difficult times. Because for me personally, that was the thing that kept me going, and that allowed me to walk through that, and has continued to give me what I need to walk through the difficulties of life. And I always tell people that, discipleship is a lost art, because it's so powerful to give us a strong foundation. So for me, I'm so thankful for the people. And really, there weren't a lot of relationships that I had as a young university student, as a Christian, where I was just learning how to walk this out, that I would say, well, this person was my mentor for 3 years, or this person was my mentor for a year. When it comes to spiritual things, it was just individuals that came into my life for a brief period of time, but the conversations that we had were very intentional, and they were very bold to help bring about shifts in my thinking and my way of viewing life that really helped form something in me. And so I'm really thankful for those people who had the courage to speak truth to me when I needed to speak, when I needed to hear it, and didn't always want to hear it.
Thank you. Lisa, I have something I'd like to ask you, and then I'd like to give you a chance to take over the show, if that makes sense to you. You talked about one of your books having 52 tips for women, for speakers. For some of our audience who's sitting on the edge of their chair and they're going to go buy your books, would you be willing to share a few of those tips with us here tonight?
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
Some of your favorite tips.
Sure. Okay. So I'll share with you. Thank you for asking. And by the way, I will say this, that men could also benefit from that.
Okay. Of course.
I have many men ask me that. Can I have? Yes. So one of the biggest things that I have discovered is that one of the biggest struggles that women have, and again, not being sexist, but this is just what I find comparatively, men struggle with it too, but it's because I work predominantly with women now. Mm-hmm. I've kind of made it a defining niche. And I find that one of the biggest struggles is how to know how much content is enough and how much is too much when you're preparing for a message. And inevitably, maybe you can relate to this, Catherine and Lori, where you're asked to speak and you have to prepare, and sometimes you feel like you're rushing through it because you just want to get out all the information. So one of the tips that I share with people is that a really good formula to help you determine how much content you need to use and how much is enough is what's called the 10-to-1 rule. And so this means that for every 10 minutes of speaking, you want to aim to make 1 point. And a lot of people really are shocked by that because they think, well, that's a lot of time for 1 point, because, you know, they just want to cram in 20 points in 5 minutes. And we've all been there. But the reality is it's not so much what we have to say. We have to shift how we approach public speaking so that it's not just about you as a speaker, what you have to give, but it's what your audience is going to take away.
Right.
And so how you communicate those points is really important. So 10-to-1, 10 minutes of speaking and make 1 point. Another one is what I just said there in terms of the shift in when you're approaching public speaking, when you're thinking about your audience, ask yourself this question before you even start to write what you want to put in your message is, what do I want my audience to think, feel, or do as a result of hearing me speak? Because the answer to that question will dictate the content that you use, the direction that you take, and it helps you stay focused and not kind of get distracted by extra information that you might want to put in there. So really having it say, okay, this is good information, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't solve a problem for my audience, if it doesn't create a shift for them, it doesn't get them unstuck and moving forward, if it doesn't do something, because the reality is when people are listening to us, they really don't care what we have to say. What they're wanting is, what's in it for me?
Right.
What can I take from what you're saying and apply it to my life? And so as a speaker, we need to get out of our own head in that way and put ourselves in the shoes of the audience and see, okay, obviously we need to know our audience, we need to do a little bit of research, but also to be able to deliver in such a way that is going to bring about some kind of a shift or change in them to make their life better, to add value to them.
Those are great tips, Lisa. I cannot wait to read all your books, but I want to get my hands on that book as soon as possible. I'd like to know if you are in the mood to take over for a few minutes. Let me pass the torch over to you.
Sure.
And if you would like to ask Lori or Lori and I a question, just direct the question and let us know who you'd like to answer first. And we'd like to answer you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. First of all, that's really brave of you to hand over your show to someone that you hardly know. I promise I will treat it with the utmost respect.
Thank you.
I do have a question for you. You do a Facebook Live every day.
Yes.
What do you do? What is your focus? Do you have a focus?
Okay, so I'll answer that in the way that you asked it. So yes, I have a Facebook Live every day. And what do? I committed to being on Facebook Live on November 13th for the very first time. I might have done one Facebook Live, like I don't even remember. So let's say for all intents and purposes, that was my first one. And I decided to have a program called WYSIWYG. So my co-partner, creator of that program, Colleen and I decided that we would do a Facebook Live every day at 8 o'clock in the morning, no matter what.
Wow.
8 a.m., we take turns going live, and we develop the subject matter. And the lives are from 3 to 7 minutes. I think I've gone as long as 10, which is one subject for 10 minutes. So basically, the topic is X, and we talk about that topic, and we both discussed that topic. So it's been a very enlightening experience, and I think your question is why or how, and I wasn't sure if I'm answering all of what you're asking, but it's amazing. I don't remember what it was like not doing a live, and I tell you, it takes me about an hour to get ready, at least an hour to get ready for that live, because I need to be mentally, physically ready and, up, showered, dressed, lipstick, because something happens after that, right? So there's no way of that is a major appointment. It's a face-to-face appointment. So it's awesome. It's been amazing in my structure in my day, and I'm a better person for it.
Wow. And so since November 13th of this year or last year?
No, this year. Yeah, I'd love to be able to tell you in 1 year how that's gone. So we are taking off Christmas Day and Christmas and Boxing Day because Colleen is traveling. So we agree to go together on that. So so that's what next year I'll tell you how many days we've been doing that. I don't see a reason to not do that.
Yeah, so I'm intrigued because I know that there are a lot of people who struggle with Facebook Live, even people who are competent speakers, because of the fact that it's live. and so what was it the fact that you made a commitment with someone else? Is that what kind of put you out there, or was there something else that kind of gave you what you needed to stay consistent?
Thank you. And to speak to, well, I actually cried on my live today, so that's how professional I was. I was very real. What we did is we made an agreement to talk about this program, WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So since we created a program, we thought we would get live and talk about the program, but not really the program per se, but speak about life through the program. And then we have a private, it's not really private, a public Facebook group that we go and we talk about the details of that. So it's because we wanted the world to know about this program, which is called Colby A&F. WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. And that's how the commitment started, that we would do that. That way, no matter where we were at that day or in the world, we could hop on and we could honor that we made this accountability to each other, accountability to the people who were listening, and people that know us say, hey, are you going live? And we have to hone up to that. We are not able to, not that we want to back out of it, but we're not going to now, because we are to remain in integrity.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right about it's live. So struggling with it is, I would say, as long as we're real and we know our topic and we are truly ourselves in all authenticity and integrity, remain who we are, then there is no struggle. If we're trying to say 20 things in 5 minutes, if we're trying to sell something, all of that trying isn't the same as doing and being. We're being ourselves for 5 minutes.
And that's the essence of the show.
That's right.
Okay.
It's on my personal Facebook page.
I will definitely look it up. Yeah.
It's all there. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing, because I know that video is huge and it's a big deal for people to do Facebook Live. So that's really commendable.
That's what we're doing right now.
I know we are. But to show up every day and do it, right? That's a commitment.
Yes. Well, I show up every day for me. So I show up every day. Like if you want to know what's going on, then you just click on my Facebook and see what I'm up to.
Yeah, well, it's good because I actually was going to shift for it, and I was thinking about this. So this gives me a bit of inspiration and a push. Like, okay, yeah, you can do this, Lisa.
You can do it, Lisa.
I mean, I've done it and I do it on a weekly, but I thought, you know what? I'd like to go daily, but that's a lot. But I'm thinking, why not? I show up every day anyway. Why not just do it live? So that's awesome. Thank you. Oh, I lost you. I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, I just unmute. Make your cup of tea and then make that your live time.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. I look forward to it.
I'll ask Lori now, because I know a bit about Lori. Lori and I had a bit of fun time together. But so Catherine mentioned that she knew about you before she met you on stage, that you had a reputation that preceded you in terms of the business world. What was it about your business when she said you sent out more? What does that mean, that you sent more gifts than anyone? Sending them to who and for what reason?
Yeah. So yeah, it was more gifts than anybody in the company at that time, or the distributors and customers at that time. So but I had just decided one year that I was going to step up the sending the birthday cards. So I've always sent, even before I joined Send Out Cards, I was already sending cards. I've always sent birthday cards. I've always sent holiday cards, Thanksgiving cards, Christmas cards, and different cards throughout the year. And I've always, like, before Send Out Cards, I would create them on my computer. I've been a graphics designer for 26 years. So I would just create things and I would print them out and I would mail them. So when Send Out Cards came out, and they would do the printing, and I didn't have to worry about if my blue was getting a little bit low, you know, I thought this is the best thing in the world. So, so that was one of the main reasons I joined, and it just made it more streamlined to fit with the tool that I was already doing anyway. And so, but then one year I decided I wanted to step up my game. And so instead of I still sent out some cards without gifts, but most of the cards that I sent out with a gift that year. Mm. So I've been with the company for almost 16 years now, and I'm almost at 100,000 cards that I've sent out. I will probably hit that in the next month or two.
Wow.
And so
like you personally
yes,
have sent out.
That I personally sent out, yes. So in 16 years. So anyway, so that I tend to average about 10,000 cards a year.
Wow.
And so, so that one year I just decided that I was going to make people smile more. So one of my cliche sayings is I get to send smiles to people's mailboxes.
Oh, cool.
So, and I get to send out happiness to the world, and then I get to get paid for it too. So how great is that? You know, so those are a couple of my little sayings. And so, and then I have another one that, you know, friends don't let friends go to an empty mailbox. So kind of just cool. Taking off other things. So, and so I just wanted to get people, you know, to, when they open up their mail, you know, it's usually bills and junk. And so I like people to smile when they open their mail. And so all my cards are always something that I hope that the people smile when they open up the mail of whatever I send. So it's never just a blah card, you know. I want people to actually look at it and go, wow, this is cool, you know, or whatever, and have that warm their heart. And so I just wanted to take that a step higher. And so I sent gifts with almost every card that I sent that year.
Wow.
And just took that little extra to make that a little bit extra above and beyond, you know, how they say, you know, whatever you do, you take it a step further. So I took it a step further that year.
You know, I was just, as you're talking, I'm reminded of this book I read years ago, and I can't remember the name of the author, but it's about personal touch. And it's about the business world, and that personal touch being that extra differentiator. And for what you guys both do, it's making that personal touch with people in terms of something that, again, in our world today it can become a lost art, but it actually brings people into a whole, I think, probably a greater relationship when you do that with your business partner. Do you find that with your clients?
I do, yeah. And it just, you know, the old saying goes, you know, people do business with those they know, like, and trust, you know. And so when I teach, coach, and train on relationship marketing, I teach that you build the relationship. You don't worry about, let me get the sale, and, you know, worrying about those numbers. You build that relationship. And when that's built, then if there's business to be had, it's going to happen, or they'll know more about you and know that your honesty and your integrity and your morals, as well as your business side, that even if they don't ever need your business, they will have those ears to listen in their circle and refer you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then that falls into the remembrance thing of sending out tangible touches and other types of keeping in touch for them to remember you. Because if they don't remember you, they're not going to refer you or do business with you either, right? So
yeah, no, that's so good. I'm sure both of you can have a whole show if you haven't already. I do that.
Yeah, I like that idea, Lisa. Thank you. Any ideas that you have for the show, just let us know and we will make a note of it. We'll attribute that to you.
I think you should actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lisa, let me just ask you, I know Lori, and thank you for those questions.
Yeah,
Did
you're
I
welcome.
interrupt you? You
Nope.
were,
Go ahead.
Awesome. They were great questions. I know Lori asked you if you had anyone that you were grateful for. I just want to put it out there again. Is there it's Christmas Eve. Is there someone that you would like to say something to? Thank you for being here with us on this holiday. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a message to, whether they're watching now or they're never going to watch or whatever? It could be your pet, whoever you're grateful for. Feel free and open to make a comment if you'd like.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, obviously, I want to say thank you to my family who are all, my kids are here, but also to friends. I mean, I came across a little book the other in my cleaning up of my office. I came across a book that I had some poems in that I'd written some poetry, and I started reading some of my poems. And I won't go into. There's many that have started to trigger memories, but one of them was about friends. And I start to remember about the friends that were there, you know, at every stage of the way, through thick and thin and good and bad times. And I just want to say thank you for those friends who have been with me and stuck with me and loved me through my all stages of life, and are tried, true, and tested. And I just so appreciate, you know, who you are. And particularly, I think of two friends that, you know, in the darkest times of my life, were there with just joy. They just came and they brought so much joy, and they made me laugh at different times. And it's what I needed, right? And so they just, in their normal, whoever, just that's who they are, just took me out, and we went and did some things together, and would do this on occasion. And I just say thank you. Thank you for just being you and showing up and reaching out and being a friend.
Well, I'm sure that they will appreciate to hear that from you when they have a chance, if they're not already watching. Lisa, it's really special that you're here on Christmas Eve. It really is. And to the people guests that watch us for the first time, and to your friends and to our friends and audience, they know you're a special person already because you took time away from your family to be with us, your Gratitude Girls family. And that's really special. And I think that's amazing. And I'm sure that there are people that want to get in touch with you. And Lori we've listed all of your social media links. Mm-hmm. Is there any special message you want to give to someone if they want to reach you? They can read it in the notes, but is there some new way that you'd like to you want them to call you tonight while you're having dinner?
Not tonight, as much as I love you all.
Okay. They can go to your website or whatever method you have set up for them.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. I'm sure the information is there. And I just want to say thank you for having me on and taking a risk at me letting take over your show. But thank you so much. It truly is an honor for me too, because I know that it's a special show for both of you. I mean, it's a special show because you've been doing it a long time. So I know it's special, and it's special for the people that hear, and you want to bring value to your listeners. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this.
Oh, you're welcome. I hate to look at the time, Lori, but I do know that it is Christmas Eve and there are families and dinners and people waiting for you, Lisa. So Lori, let's talk about this. If somebody's watching the show and they say, I would like to be on the Gratitude Girls show, what do I do? Can we give them some directive on how they can ask or request or hop on the show with us?
Yes, absolutely. So go right to our Facebook page at facebook.com/gratitudegirls and hit message there. Send us your gratitude story. Tell us why you want to be on the show. And Catherine and I, we both get that message We will go over it. We'll contact you, let us know how to contact you best, and we will get with you and see when we can get you on our calendar.
Awesome. And in terms of our show, it was a great question. Let's tell our audience when we are live.
Yes, so we are live the fourth Tuesday night of every single month, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific.
That's great, Lori. Another wonderful holiday season together. I look forward to 2020 and all the wonderful things that we have in store for us. And my heart is giving you and your family as much love as you can take in this one moment. Here it comes to you, and Lisa, to you as well, and to our audience. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. Any celebration that you have, we are celebrating it with you. It means a lot to us that you're here.
Yes, everybody, thanks so much for being with us tonight. We'll see you next month, same time, same place.